Hey guys, this is Lisa. One of the topics that you guys seem really curious about is oral sex. I get a ton of questions in my Insta DMs from you guys about this topic, and so I thought I would answer some of them today. Let's get right into it. So first of all, why do people like oral sex? If you're wondering what makes oral sex appealing to people, I'd say that it is much more than just the fact that it feels good. In fact, what makes any erotic act exciting is the fact that it could seem kind of disgusting with the wrong person. And yet with the right person, that sense of disgust is replaced by an intense feeling of desire as well as a profound sense of acceptance. That willingness and enthusiasm from someone you like to celebrate even those parts of you that you yourself are probably conditioned to be somewhat repulsed by or embarrassed of appeals to our human need to be wanted and accepted exactly the way we are, like very little else can. But like any other sexual act, it is not something that you should ever feel pressured into giving or receiving. Its whole appeal lies in mutual and enthusiastic consent. Okay, next question. How do you have oral sex safely? This is a great question, and it is one that desperately needs to be addressed. If you and your partner haven't both been tested for sexually transmitted diseases and/or you are not in a monogamous relationship, you should be using condoms even during oral sex. STDs can be transmitted via oral sex. That's why flavored condoms exist. And just as a penis owner should wear a condom when receiving oral sex, a vagina owner should wear a dental dam during oral sex. What is a dental dam? It's basically just a thin rectangular sheet of latex that can be placed on top of the vulva. And since they're not easily available in India, the easiest way to make one is simply by cutting off the rim and the tip of a condom and then cutting it open lengthwise so that you get a rectangle. And of course, be sure to use a clean pair of scissors when you do this. When it comes to penetrative sex, at least most people know that they should be using protection, even if they choose not to. But when it comes to oral sex, most people don't even know that they should use protection. And this is something we have got to spread awareness around. Practicing safe sex is one of the best things you can do for yourself, and that includes oral sex. So get tested and use protection. Next question, is it safe to swallow my partner's body fluids? If you and your partner have both been tested and neither of you have any STDs and you're both in a monogamous relationship, then it is safe to swallow body fluids. They will simply be digested. If for whatever reason you are not comfortable swallowing, you should tell your partner. Don't feel pressured into doing anything you don't want to. If you are comfortable with it, then that's something you can both enjoy as part of the experience. This is totally up to the two of you, and it is a matter of personal preference. However, if one or both of you haven't been tested and/or you're in a non-monogamous relationship, then as I explained, you've got to be using protection even during oral sex. And if you're using protection correctly, you're not going to be swallowing any body fluids. Now, perhaps one of the most common questions I get asked, especially by women, is should I worry about how I taste and smell down there? And at the risk of making a generalization, I'm going to say that women worry too much about this and men don't worry enough. Before any sexual activity, it's a great idea to first have a shower. Boys, I hope you're listening too. Showering before getting naked is just the hygienic and polite thing to do, regardless of your gender. As long as you practice good personal hygiene, there's no need to worry too much about what you taste and smell like. Your body is never going to taste or smell like strawberries and cream, and it's absurd to expect it to. Everyone has their own unique scent and taste, and as long as you shower regularly, it isn't a bad scent or taste. It just is what it is. And a huge part of being able to truly enjoy sexual intimacy is getting over your squeamishness around the body in its natural state. Another very commonly asked question that I get, especially from women, is do I have to wax or shave my pubic hair in order to receive oral sex? It's worth remembering that oral sex has been around far longer than the trend of bikini waxing. So as long as you maintain good personal hygiene, there's no reason that your pubic hair should come in the way of being able to receive oral sex. Porn has certainly impacted how we think our bodies ought to look like during sex. And I think that's a big part of the reason that women in modern-day heterosexual couples feel this sort of pressure to get rid of their pubes. But think of it this way. Just like most women are okay kissing a man with a beard, men should just get over their fear of pubic hair. If for whatever reason you prefer waxing, shaving, or trimming your pubes, then by all means go for it. Just make sure it's something you're doing because you want to, not because you see it as an obligation or a necessity. It is purely a matter of personal preference. Okay, last question. How do I give good oral sex? Now, the internet is filled with tips and tricks around oral sex techniques, and you can look those up. But I would say that the most important thing to remember is enthusiasm and enjoyment. Partners often get the most pleasure from seeing the other person enjoying themselves, whether giving or receiving. And oral sex can play a huge role in establishing each other's acceptance of one another. And the best way to figure out exactly how to please your partner is by communicating. Tell each other openly and honestly about what feels good and what doesn't. Too often, we fear that we're going to bruise the other person's ego if we give them any feedback. But there is so much more pleasure to be had if both partners are open to feedback and communicative during sex. Also, remember that the key to a pleasurable sexual experience is consent. And consent is an ongoing process. So be sure to check in with each other, not just before the act, but during the act. Even something as seemingly small as putting your hands on your partner's head while they're at it is something you should ask them about first. And as with most things in life, reciprocity is much appreciated. The best oral sex is when both partners are excited, not just at the thought of receiving it, but equally at the thought of giving it.